For nearly a century, millions of people have believed the same story. The story goes like this. In 1908, Andrew Carnegie, the wealthiest man in America, interviewed a young journalist named Napoleon Hill for 3 days. At the end of those 3 days, Carnegie offered Hill a commission. He said, "I'll pay you $25,000 if you spend the next 20 years interviewing the most successful people in America and document their principles of success." Hill accepted, spent 20 years on the project, and the result was Think and Grow Rich. That's the story. It's been told in countless books, repeated in thousands of lectures, shared by millions of people. There's only one problem with that story. It's not true. Andrew Carnegie never paid Napoleon Hill a single dollar. Not $25,000, not $25, nothing, zero. And here's what makes this fascinating. The truth, the real story of what Carnegie actually offered Hill is far more powerful than the lie. But it's also far more uncomfortable, because what Carnegie really offered Hill proves a principle that most people desperately don't want to hear. If you stay with me for the next 15 minutes, I'm going to show you the actual archives, the documented evidence of what really happened between Carnegie and Hill in 1908. And what you're going to discover will either inspire you or infuriate you, because the real story destroys the comfortable fantasy that success can be bought, paid for, or given to you by someone else. The real story proves that the only path to genuine achievement is the one Carnegie forced Hill to walk, a path of total commitment with zero guarantees. Before we go deeper, comment right now, "I commit with no guarantees." Because what Carnegie really offered Hill is what life offers you every single day. The opportunity to commit everything to something that matters with absolutely no guarantee it will work. Hit like, subscribe, and let's uncover the truth about what Andrew Carnegie really offered Napoleon Hill in 1908. Here's what actually happened. The year was 1908. Napoleon Hill was 25 years old, working as a journalist for Bob Taylor's magazine. He'd been assigned to interview Andrew Carnegie, who at that time was one of the 3 wealthiest men in the world. The interview was scheduled for 3 hours. Carnegie had a reputation for being difficult with journalists, answering questions briefly, ending interviews early. But something about Hill interested him. Instead of 3 hours, the interview went 3 days. Carnegie and Hill talked about success, failure, wealth, poverty, human nature, opportunity. And Carnegie, who was 73 at the time, started testing Hill. Not with questions about journalism, with questions about character, commitment, and courage. On the 3rd day, Carnegie asked Hill a hypothetical question. He said, "Young man, what would you do if I told you I've discovered a formula for success? A set of principles that anyone can learn and apply to achieve wealth and success. But nobody has ever documented these principles properly. What would you do if I offered to introduce you to the most successful people I know, over 500 of them, so you could study them and write down what you discover?" Hill, excited, immediately said he'd be honored. He started talking about payment, royalties, how the project would be funded. Carnegie raised his hand and stopped him. He said, "I haven't finished. Here's the offer. I'll give you letters of introduction to everyone you need to meet. I'll open doors that would otherwise be closed to someone your age with your background. But I will not pay you anything. Not a salary, not expenses, nothing. You'll have to support yourself completely while doing this research. You'll have to sacrifice your time, your comfort, potentially your financial security. And there's no guarantee anyone will ever read what you write. There's no guarantee you'll make a penny from this. In fact, you'll probably lose money for years. So here's my question, and I want your answer in 60 seconds or less. Are you willing to commit 20 years of your life to this project with zero financial guarantee?" Hill sat there, stunned. This wasn't what he expected. He expected a paid commission, a contract, security. But Carnegie was offering him nothing but opportunity and risk. 60 seconds. Carnegie pulled out his pocket watch and actually timed him. Hill's mind raced. He had bills to pay. He had a wife and children. He needed income. Committing to 20 years of unpaid work was insane by any practical measure. But something in Carnegie's eyes told him this was a test, not just of interest, but of character. The silence stretched. 30 seconds. 45 seconds. At 58 seconds, Hill said, "Yes, I'll do it." Carnegie smiled, put his watch away and said, "That's what I was looking for. The ability to make a definite decision quickly despite uncertainty and risk. That's the trait every successful person I know has, and it's the trait most people lack." Then Carnegie explained why he structured the offer this way. He said, "Young man, if I paid you $25,000 to do this work, what would happen? I'll tell you exactly what would happen. You'd become an employee. You'd do the minimum required to earn your payment. You'd approach this as a job, not a mission. And the moment things got difficult, the moment you faced obstacles or setbacks, you'd have an out. You'd say, 'Carnegie isn't paying me enough for this,' and you'd quit. But if you commit to this with no payment, with no safety net, with everything on the line, you'll approach it completely differently. You'll own it. It will be your project, not mine. Your success or failure will depend entirely on your effort, your persistence, your commitment. And that pressure, that necessity, will force you to develop the exact traits you're studying. You'll become the living proof of the principles you're documenting." Carnegie continued, "I'm not offering you a job. I'm offering you the opportunity to transform yourself while helping others. I'm offering you the chance to build something significant, but only if you're willing to pay the price. And the price is total commitment with zero guarantees." That's what separated those words like a thunderclap. Hill later wrote that in that moment, he understood something profound. Carnegie wasn't testing whether Hill wanted to do the project. He was testing whether Hill was the kind of person who could do the project. Because the project would require 20 years of struggle, rejection, failure, and uncertainty. Only someone willing to commit without guarantees could survive that. Only someone willing to bet everything on themselves could finish it. And Carnegie was right. Over the next 20 years, from 1908 to 1928, Hill struggled constantly. He took various jobs to support himself and his family. He faced skepticism from everyone around him. People told him he was wasting his time. His first marriage failed partly because of the financial strain. He went broke multiple times. There were years when he wanted to quit, years when he questioned whether any of it mattered. But he couldn't quit. Why? Because he'd committed. Not to Carnegie, to himself. He'd made a decision, and that decision defined him. Carnegie had given him nothing except opportunity and belief. And somehow that was more powerful than any amount of money could have been. Because money would have made him an employee, belief made him an owner. The Stoics understood this principle completely. Seneca wrote, "It's not because things are difficult that we don't dare. It's because we don't dare that things are difficult." Carnegie forced Hill to dare, to commit fully, to burn the ships. And that total commitment is what made the difference. Epictetus taught his students, "Don't wish for challenges to be easier, wish to be stronger." Carnegie didn't make Hill's path easier with money. He made Hill stronger by forcing him to walk the hard path. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." By not paying Hill, Carnegie put a massive impediment in his path. And that impediment forced Hill to develop the exact traits he was studying: persistence, definiteness of purpose, burning desire, faith, all of it. Here's the truth that makes people uncomfortable. If Carnegie had paid Hill $25,000, Think and Grow Rich probably would never have been written. Or if it was written, it would have been a mediocre academic study, not the transformational book it became. Why? Because Hill wouldn't have lived the principles. He would have studied them from the outside as a paid researcher. But by forcing Hill to commit without payment, Carnegie made him live the principles from the inside. Every principle Hill wrote about, he had to apply to his own life just to survive the 20 years. Definiteness of purpose? Hill had to develop it or quit. Burning desire? Hill had to cultivate it or give up. Faith? Hill had to build it or abandon the project. Persistence? Hill had to embody it or fail. The book became powerful not because Hill studied successful people, but because he became one through the process. Now here's where this gets even deeper. After Think and Grow Rich was published in 1937 and became a massive success, Hill was interviewed thousands of times. And in many of those interviews, he was asked about Carnegie's offer. And Hill, to his credit, always told the truth. He always said Carnegie never paid him $1. He always explained that the offer was commitment without guarantees. But over time, as the story was retold and repeated, it morphed. People didn't want to hear that Carnegie offered nothing but opportunity. They wanted to hear that Carnegie paid Hill, because that version is more comfortable. It suggests that if you have talent and someone powerful believes in you, they'll fund your success. That's the fantasy. The reality is far harsher. If you have talent and commitment, someone powerful might give you opportunity, but you still have to fund your own success through your own effort and sacrifice. By the 1950s and 60s, the story had fully transformed in popular retellings. People started saying Carnegie paid Hill $25,000. Some versions said $50,000. The number kept growing, and Hill, in his later years, mostly stopped correcting it. Why? Some say he was tired of explaining. Others say he realized the lie served a purpose. It got people interested in the book. But the truth is documented. Carnegie's own papers, Hill's early writings, the historical record, all confirm the same thing. Carnegie paid Hill nothing. Zero. And that was the whole point. That was the test. That was the principle. Commitment without guarantees. Total ownership of your own success. No safety net, no excuses. Just you and your decision. So why does this matter to you? Because every single day, life offers you the same choice Carnegie offered Hill. You can wait for guarantees before you commit. Wait for someone to fund your dreams. Wait for security before you take action. Wait for certainty before you decide. Or you can commit fully right now, today, with zero guarantees. You can bet on yourself. You can take total ownership of your outcome. You can burn the ships and remove every option except success. Most people choose the first path. They wait. They hedge. They keep backup plans. They want someone to pay them, fund them, guarantee them. And because of that, they never achieve anything significant. Because significant achievement always requires total commitment without guarantees. Hill at 25 faced that choice. Take the comfortable path with guarantees, or take the hard path with only opportunity. He chose the hard path. And it took him 20 years of struggle. But at the end of those 20 years, he'd created something that influenced over 100 million people. What if he'd chosen comfort? What if he'd said, "Mr. Carnegie, I'm interested, but I need payment"? Carnegie would have smiled, shaken his hand and said, "I understand," and that would have been the end. Hill would have lived a normal life, made a normal living, died a normal death, and the world would never have known what he could have contributed. Here's what Carnegie knew that Hill had to learn. People who need guarantees before they commit never achieve anything worth having. Because everything worth having requires commitment before guarantees appear. That's the test. That's the filter. That's what separates those who achieve from those who just wish. And Carnegie, in his wisdom, structured his offer to Hill as the ultimate test. No payment, no safety net, just opportunity and belief. If you're willing to commit without guarantees, you can change the world. If you need guarantees before you commit, you'll live a safe, small, forgettable life. Hill chose to commit, and it changed everything. Not just for him, for millions of people he never met. So here's my question for you. What are you waiting for guarantees on right now? What dream, What goal, what mission are you refusing to commit to because you don't have certainty? What would you do if someone offered you the Carnegie deal? Total opportunity, zero payment, complete ownership, no guarantees. Would you say yes? Most wouldn't. Most would say, I need security first. I need funding first. I need guarantees first. And that's exactly why most people never create anything significant. Because significance requires the willingness to commit without knowing the outcome. Carnegie didn't give Hill money. He gave him something far more valuable. He gave him a test that revealed Hill's character. And Hill passed the test by saying yes with no guarantees. That yes, that commitment, that leap into uncertainty is what created Think and Grow Rich. Not Carnegie's money, not Carnegie's connections, Hill's commitment. His willingness to bet everything on himself. His decision to pursue significance over security. That's the truth the archives show. That's the real story. And it's far more powerful than the comfortable lie that Carnegie paid him. Because the lie suggests success can be funded by others. The truth proves success can only be created by you. Through your commitment, your sacrifice, your unwavering decision to pursue something that matters regardless of guarantees. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Do not act as if you had 10,000 years to live. Death hangs over you. While you live, while it is in your power, be good." And I'd add, while you live, while it is in your power, commit. Don't wait for perfect circumstances. Don't wait for guarantees. Don't wait for someone to fund your dreams. Commit now, fully, completely, with everything you have, because that commitment is the only thing that creates transformation. Carnegie knew it, Hill learned it, and now you know it. Comment, "I commit with no guarantees," like this video so others stop waiting for permission and funding before they start building something that matters. Subscribe because we're teaching the uncomfortable truths that actually work, not the comfortable lies that keep you stuck. And share this with someone who's waiting for security before they commit to significance. Andrew Carnegie didn't pay Napoleon Hill because payment would have made him weak. No payment forced him to become strong. That's the truth. That's the principle. That's your choice today. Commit with no guarantees or wait forever for certainty that never comes. Let's go.